River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
All right, everybody. Welcome to a Friday edition of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan here along with the gang, Mr. Jimmy B and Mr. Easy E. How are we doing, gentlemen?
I'm feeling good about this parlay.
Well, I would like to feel good about this parlay. Let's hit this one. We haven't hit for a while.
Yeah.
Mascot money line.
We've been close though. So I mean, it's like our parlays aren't terrible. We're just missing like one or two little notches every week. So
yeah.
I forgot to send it. I saw this great video of this like baby at a not wasabi, but what's it where they set the food on fire and it's like a whole show?
Hibachi.
Yeah, it was like a baby at a hibachi place, and it said watching the one part of your parlay fail and the rest of your ticket go up in flames.
Right.
And the fire went off, and then the baby just had this face of just pure terror. And it God, if I find it again, I'm gonna save it. It was so funny. I was like, no, I feel that. I've had tickets die on one thing before.
Yeah.
As if we all. Speaking of which, as is our Friday tradition, we have a parlay, and we have a wild card specific parlay, just because the Niners
wild card, bitches.
Just because the Niners aren't in the playoffs doesn't mean we're not going to do the show and we're not going to do a parlay. And God damn it, we're going to have a Super Bowl, like a Super Bowl parlay when we get there. But in the meantime, here we are, wildcard weekend. And there's the tip top of it. As we usually do, we'll just break it down, give our 2 cents on each of these games as well. The first one, Justin Herbert, 200 yards against the Houston Texans. As is tradition, the Texans are always playing the matinee game on Saturday. I've noticed the last 8 in a row, which is really, really funny. But Justin Herbert, it's a very run heavy or run centric offense. But when a defense is as porous as the Texans, which is weird to say because the Texans just have hit a skid and they're just kind of limping into the playoffs. I don't feel like that's a big stretch to say. I think Justin Herbert putting 200 yards against this team, along with how much they like to run the ball with JK and they just signed Zeke. I don't know. I just have a feeling that the Chargers are not going to, I'm not trying to jinx it, but I feel like the Chargers can not charge themselves and actually get through this to the divisional round. Do we all agree, gentlemen?
Well, it is Jim Harbaugh. So we know how he can coach in the playoffs a lot better than the other guy, Brandon Staley, or his dumbass. But yeah, so I think Justin Herbert at least passing for 200 yards against the Texans is not too much of a stretch. So yeah, I mean, will the Chargers win or the Chargers charge? That's yet to be seen because they have a new head coach, so we'll see what they do.
Herbert's hit this line in 10 of the last 13 games, so feel pretty good about that. As far as the game goes, and they have been passing more over the last 2 months of the season too, so that lends a little bit more precedence to him getting to the 200 yards. I lean a little bit towards what you're saying, Dan. I think the Texans are ripe for an upset in this particular game. I thought the Texans were going to be great all season long, and I've said a number of times on this podcast that they just sort of have left me feeling very underwhelmed all season long with their performance and how they've played out on the field, and they've just sort of left something behind. And so I think a hot Chargers team coming in with a lot of momentum and a lot of drive and a lot of passion from their coach. I think the Texans can really get upset. Now, would I be surprised if the Texans won? No, not really, because it is the Chargers. And I mean, as we say, the Chargers charge. But at the same time, the Chargers winning this game, I mean, they are favored even as well. That the Chargers winning this game seems like a likely outcome.
The Chargers did blow a 28-point lead against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Remember, just 2 years ago, I think it was.
That was Brandon Staley.
So it's entirely possible. It is entirely possible. Do I think it's likely this time around? No. But no, I'm with you, Eric. That's a very fair point to remind people that after they lost Nico for a couple weeks and then Stephon, and then they lost
Tank Dell.
Yeah, Tank Dell shattering his leg again. Poor dude. No, that offense, like, it started out okay, but then, yeah, man, CJ Stroud's really going through a sophomore slump. So I agree with Vegas. I think the Chargers should be favored, and I don't know. I don't see any reason that they shouldn't lose, other than the fact that it's the Chargers, and maybe Jim Harbaugh can buck the trend. Maybe, fingers crossed. I really want it for him. I know your post-Niner feelings towards him are mixed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our thoughts on that. Moving onward to Steelers at the Ravens. Some people call this the best rivalry in football. I always get really excited with these games. And you can't ever be certain what's going to happen in a third matchup of a division rival. But what is certain, though, besides death and taxes, is Derrick Henry rushing at least 60 yards. And he went through a little dry spell there. He kind of screwed us over a couple times, missing the end zone like 3 weeks in a row. But Derrick Henry scoring a prime time playoff touchdown, I will throw money towards that. And I don't know. I think the Ravens are going to walk away with this game maybe not pretty easy, but I think the Ravens will still just generally be on top. When I make a money line ticket, I'll pick the Ravens. I don't know, the Steelers look too depleted, and they'll put up a fight, but I think they're still going to lose in the end.
And our statistician Eric, how many times has Derrick Henry scored, and how many 60-plus rushing yards has he got?
Well, he has 17 touchdowns on the season, so
that's pretty much one every game.
Yeah. And then he has gone over 60.
What, 14 times?
Every game but the first one.
So, yeah.
And he has 16 touchdowns, my bad.
Oh, so when we put this in the parlay, it was pretty much a no-brainer because I think we do it every week anyway. So, and
pretty much, yeah.
And it hits. So, might as well keep playing the hot hand and the heater that we're on with Derrick Henry and the 60-plus yards and TD scoring.
Yeah, I mean, he's really been on fire the last 3 weeks, too. He had 162, 147, and 138 the last 3 weeks of the season. 3 touchdowns over that span of time. He did have a 0 touchdown game against the Steelers 3 weeks ago, but he had 162 yards. So, I mean, that is something.
I told you, I paid attention. He didn't score a touchdown. I thought it was 2 games in a row.
It was 4 weeks in a row. 4 weeks in a row he went without a touchdown. But, I mean, the Ravens are going to have to run the ball effectively to win this game. As you noted in our chat, Dan, Zay Flowers is out. So that's going to really impact the Ravens' ability to throw the ball. They really don't have anybody behind him. Mark Andrews isn't what he used to be for whatever reason. He's kind of fallen off this season. Rashad Bateman isn't really all that great. Nelson Aguilar, no offense, Jimmy B, not great.
What happened to that other tight end that was
Isaiah Likely?
Yeah, Likely could. I don't know. Maybe Likely can finally step back up again because he fell out of the spotlight after week 1.
Yeah. I mean, Nelson Aguilar is probably like a mid-grade receiver at best, except for 2017 when he caught everything.
Yeah,
but that's about it. I don't have much faith in Nelson Aguilar.
So I really feel like they're going to lean on the running game quite heavily in this particular game to one, keep the Steelers off the field, and then two, just because they don't really have any other options. So feels like Derrick Henry is going to get in the end zone. Certainly think he's going to get over 60 yards for sure. You know, as to who's going to win this particular game, you know, you have the interesting specter that, you know, prior to just beating them a few weeks ago, Lamar's record is crap against the Steelers. So you kind of have that hanging over things. I know the Steelers have been on a skid, but Pickens hasn't been playing, and Pickens wasn't playing well when he did play. If they can get Pickens going, I don't know. I think the Steelers can make a game of it. I mean, and you just have the specter of postseason Lamar. I mean, postseason Lamar Jackson has traditionally not been great. So I don't think this is a really great first round matchup for the Ravens. I mean, I know Vegas thinks that it is. I think they're favored by like 8 or 10 points or something like that. So, I mean, I know everybody is hot on the Ravens and thinks that they're going to walk all over the Steelers, but I don't have that kind of confidence in this particular matchup. These two teams just kick the shit out of each other every time they play, really. And I don't know. I think the Ravens would have liked to have had somebody else. But I personally, I mean, I think they would have rather fallen out of, I guess it wouldn't have mattered. They'd ended up playing the Steelers anyway. However it would have shaken out, I think they would have liked the playoffs to shake out differently, so they got a different matchup in the first round than the Steelers.
I want it noted. I am picking the Ravens, but not confidently.
Yeah,
I think the Ravens will still pull it off. Just I don't know, unless Mike Tomlin really, really shakes like some energy into that offense, like Najee Harris goes off, or who was it? Mike Williams finally has like a real breakout game, because Pickens, I have no faith in. Pickens is just a freaking crybaby.
I mean, the Ravens are favored by 9.5. I would take
that's too much.
I would take the points in the Steelers, to be honest.
I would pick the Steelers with the points. Yeah,
I might pick the Ravens. I might do that instead of the Ravens money line. I might pick Steelers cover.
I mean,
9 points is way too high.
I mean, I think if you looked back at the history, I mean, I'd have to sit here and do it for a second, but I mean,
they kicked the crap out of them on Netflix.
Yeah, they did, but I mean, like, traditionally, these games are not blowouts by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's why it's such a fun rivalry.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, speaking of a fun game to watch.
Absolutely. Oh, the game I'm looking forward to the most. My wife will watch this game. I if she makes me skip football the rest of the day, except for this game, I'll take it. I'm so excited for this one. The rookie phenom, Jaden Daniels, and the Commanders are going to Tampa Bay to face my boy Baker, with a defense that hopefully is a little better than they were against the Saints. Hopefully they get some of that secondary back, because they had like 3 of the 4 starters in the backfield out. But for the purpose of our ticket, Jaden Daniels rushing 25 yards. You have to tell me if that was like the line or if we just picked that arbitrarily, because Jaden Daniels rushing 25 yards should not be unattainable. He runs very, very well. Untenable. And then Baker Mayfield. I actually, I was just on Facebook and I saw that he rushed a lot more than he had like a career high 60 yards rushing against the Saints, but still threw 221 yards.
Oh,
so they had a terrible first half. So if they can actually get out to a fast start in the first half, I'm confident. I'm beyond confident he'll go over 225. But just in general, though, the Commanders' defense is kind of not great.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit below average. So my confidence that he'll hit 225 is very comfortable. And then same with Jaden Daniels. He may do that in the first half if there's some blown coverage and he just runs up the middle. But in terms of like the actual game itself, this game could really swing either way. I'm cheering for the Bucks, and I don't know if I can make a ticket without picking this game. I might. I don't know. This game could really go either way, because both defenses are susceptible. Both offenses can, if they hit the ground right, like they can really put up a track meet. I'm glad this is the primetime game, is basically what I'm saying. And I don't know. I'm not gonna like pick, but I'm gonna cheer for the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I saw the Bucks shut down Jalen Hurts his first year as a starter in Tampa Bay pretty reasonably. Now, of course, the other guy on the side of the ball was Tom Brady, so they scored a lot of points. This is Baker Mayfield, so it should be a closer game. But Jaden Daniels, 25 rushing yards. I mean,
all but 3 weeks this season.
yeah, but you got to understand this is the Bucks in the playoffs, top Bulls, and he shuts down young rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks. It's like in the playoffs. I mean, that's what he did to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was doing great until he ran into Todd Bowles' playoff defense, and then so if there's a weakness to Jaden Daniels, Todd Bowles is going to exploit it, and I don't know if he's going to get 25 rushing yards, but it really is, with Jaden Daniels, like you just need like a bunch of people to be covered downfield and then him take off in the middle. So maybe he does that.
If he doesn't run into Vita Vea, that's all. As long as he doesn't run to Vita Vea, it's very probable that he'll get a good run.
Yeah, he'll get a good run. But, I don't see this. I mean, it could be close, but then I would also think that Todd Bowles could really shut down the Commanders' offense, and we might see like a 30-14 game instead of something really close.
Yeah. So on the one side of it, the Commanders' defense, we just can be honest that it's not great. So yeah, it's. So, Baker getting 225 shouldn't be difficult for him in this particular game. I would look for him to easily achieve that. I'm looking forward to Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans. That should be a very fun battle to watch.
Forgot. He's been so hurt. He's been so hurt. This will finally happen.
Yeah, those two do not like each other in any way, shape, or form. So that should be fun to see. Jaden Daniels had the 23rd most rushing yards out of anybody in the NFL this particular season. He was, quick math would say, just a hair, 30 yards behind Lamar Jackson. So he runs a lot. I think he's probably going to end up having to scramble for his life a little bit in this particular game. So I think getting to 25 plus should be pretty easy. That was not the standard over. The standard over was like 48 for rushing yards for him. So Vegas anticipates him rushing for quite a bit more. So we went with a little easier pick there. As far as the game goes, like I said, I think this is one of the most fascinating games on the entire slate, to be honest. I think it should be a real fun game to watch. There should be a lot of offense in this particular game. This game could come down to being whoever has the ball last, to be quite honest. If the Buccaneers defense doesn't show up and it turns into a shootout, that benefits the Commanders greatly. It would be one of those things where whoever gets the last possession, if the Buccaneers defense shows up, then I could see them winning by 10 or even 14, just because the Commanders won't be able to slow them down.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a momentum game. Going down to the wire, especially for sure. I don't know. I don't want to jinx anything.
Maybe it goes down to the wire, but I see a world where the Bucks could easily win this game by 14 points. Like
if their defense shows up, though, they could do that.
It's a top Bulls defense against a rookie quarterback, and
they got to get some health in that secondary. That's the only thing. If they can get, I can't remember which one got in the car accident, but they got to get some of that secondary back. Like, yeah, the line is good, the linebackers are good, led by Devin White, I think, or whichever one.
I don't think Devin White's there,
or not Devin White. I'm a big Bucks fan, and yet I don't know their middle linebacker's name that won a Super Bowl. But no, their front seven's fine, but the back four's just got to get healthy. If the back four can get healthy, if they can even get two of them back, that'll be great.
Bucks only favored by 3 in that particular game.
That's the standard for being at home, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's the standard. So they think it's an even matchup, Vegas.
Yeah,
I agree. That's why I'm not picking a winner. Because
I would stay away from that game on my ticket. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I want no part of that.
Yeah, no. I will cheer for the Bucks, but it could I don't know. I agree and disagree with both of you. It could very easily go either way. This is such a great matchup.
I hope it's a shootout. That's what I'm looking for. I want it to be 30,
And
35,
you get a touchdown.
31. Yeah, that's what I want. I want Baker to throw for 4. I want Daniels to throw for 3 and 4 and run for 1. And yeah, I just want it to be a big shootout.
Let's hope it doesn't disappoint for being in the primetime slot. But let's move on to the Vikings and the Rams, the Monday night game. And obviously we are aware of the situation in LA, and our hearts go out to everybody out there. That's terrifying. It looks like a hellscape every time I've seen the news. Like, I just hope everyone stays safe. So barring a delay because of that, it should be on Monday Night Football. The Vikings going to the Rams because the Vikings got pummeled by the Lions. And coincidentally, earlier this year, Mr. Statistician, please find what week it was. The Vikings did lose back-to-back games in the regular season to the Lions and the Rams, from what I saw on Facebook, which has no fact checkers anymore, so it could have been a lie. But no, I'm not as excited, so to say, but I could see this being a very, very tight. I could see this being a tight matchup, kind of like Washington and Tampa. If the Rams don't come at them the same way that the Lions did to just get in Sam's face, this could be a shootout, because I've been singing the praises of Matthew Stafford. Like, Matthew Stafford will run you over if you let him. Easily 300 yards. Puka Nakua's really blossomed this year despite the little stint he had on IR. So all we have on the ticket, though, Justin Jefferson rebounding after the terrible game he had last week, going over 60 yards. I think he was second in the league in receiving yards. And then Puka Nakua, he's just a baller. He should easily go over 60 yards. And I will say it on mic here, I vehemently said keep Cooper Kupp off the ticket, because Cooper Kupp has just been, he's been flatlined, non-existent lately, because I saw a lot of people giving him crap for ruining their fantasy championship game. But yeah, no, I don't know. This one's really hard for me to pick too. I don't know. If I had to pick, I guess I would pick the Vikings get a rebound out of this, but do not discount the Rams.
Well, I wonder if the owner of the Vikings is going to try to do what he did in the Detroit game again and just buy the whole freaking stadium. You know,
he doesn't have to do that. It just fills up with Vikings fans anyways.
Yeah, LA has no home crowd. What are you talking about?
But what I'm saying is, like, you know, like, all secondary tickets sold by their, you know, he could just buy the whole stadium out and just be like, and then sell it to the Vikings fans and just make sure all Vikings fans go. And that way there's 0 LA Rams fans there.
They'll probably have the Viking horn in the stadium too. The Vikings will get a first down, goes here. And the Rams will be like, what?
Yeah.
The announcer's like, and here are your LA Rams. But then you just hear skull.
Yeah, so this will be interesting. I think I mean, hearing a Vikings crowd in LA, I will tell them probably don't dress up anything with your colors though, because that, you know, that tends to lose stuff when you dress up people like Rocky or something with purple. So anyway, 60 plus Justin Jefferson, 60 plus Puka Nakua. I'm sure our statistician can tell us how many times that's happened this year, and why we definitely are taking this bet, because I think you're right, Dan. I think this one could be a shootout as well, and we're just going to be seeing, touchdown after touchdown.
If the Rams don't copy the Detroit playbook and get in Sam's face, because clearly all you need to do is break the pocket just a little bit, and then Sam crumbles.
Yeah.
So to answer your earlier question, Dan, yes, you are correct, and Facebook did not lie to you. The Vikings did lose to the Lions and then to the Rams, with the small caveat that the Rams game was on Thursday Night Football and the Rams were the home team. So
3 days rest. Oh, gotcha.
so they did lose, and it was 20-30. Justin Jefferson, interesting stat. Jamar Chase finished first in the league with 1,700 yards. Justin Jefferson was second with 1,533. Then the third guy was Brian Thomas from the Jaguars with 1,282. And then everybody else is in like a clump behind him. So I just find it really interesting that like Chase was like way above, Jefferson was like pretty far above, and then everybody else was clumped together.
I'm impressed.
Brian Thomas on that list is just ridiculous. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, for him to be a rookie this season and to be third in the league with 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns, playing for a terrible Jacksonville team, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Catching passes from Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones.
Yeah. So
that's
really
amazing.
impressive there. So
he's gonna be a guy like 10 years in the league. He's gonna have played with like 40 different quarterbacks, He'll be like Tim Brown. Hey, listen, you played with 40 quarterbacks. Can you name them all?
Oh, Larry Fitzgerald did that a couple years ago, and that video was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, Brian Thomas is definitely going to be a guy who's got 3 more years in Jacksonville before he's gone.
Oh, for sure.
So,
what's the over/under on coordinators he'll have? Because he's already had one. So,
at least I'll go 1.5.
1 point. Well, he's going to have a second one because they're not going to keep the coordinator from this year. So you're saying going forward, it'll be
he's going to have one. Okay. Yeah, one more and a half.
As long as he's in Jacksonville, he's liable to have a new coordinator every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I didn't look up how many times Jefferson and Puka Nacua both went over 60 because I was looking up that other stuff real quick. But I mean, Jefferson has got to show up. He's got to be big in this game, or the Vikings aren't going to have a chance. And same thing for Nacua. He's got to show up for the Rams as well. For who I would pick in this particular game, I guess I would probably pick the Vikings just because they've been the better team all season long. They do have the better defense overall. I'd like to think that they could probably stymie the Rams on a real week with real rest. The Rams haven't played particularly inspiring football for the last probably like 2-3 weeks, kind of since they blew their big wad against Buffalo. They haven't really been spectacular since then. So I don't know. Plus, it sets up the Vikings versus Lions again next week, which would be much more sexy TV matchup than Lions versus Rams, although that is sort of interesting from the quarterback perspective. But we've seen that a couple of times already. So I think Vikings-Lions rematch is much more interesting for TV. So I'd pick the Vikings just because of that.
Yeah, my gut says the Vikings get a rebound, but it's just I don't know. How iffy I get with Sean McVay and how much I can't ever write them off.
Yeah, understandable.
Because I'll credit where credit's due. He's a phenomenal coach, and I still think Matthew Stafford could, if he doesn't get traded, because it seems like Stafford's going to get traded. But anyway, whole nother different conversation. We need to talk about the last game we have on here, James. We saved your Eagles for last. The Packers. Kind of handicapped Packers now that they lost Watson for sure. And I mean, they say Love's elbow is fine, but take that with a grain of salt. They're going to Philadelphia. So if he wasn't 100%, like that's already against them. But yeah, do you want to, I'll give you the honors to break this down because you really inspired this part of the ticket.
So yeah, Jalen has been out by the time this game is played. He'll have been out 3 weeks with only practicing since this Wednesday. So there's going to be rust, even though the Eagles in the last couple of games have started scoring in the first quarter. There's going to be rust. There's going to be boos. I guarantee it, because they generally start out slow to begin with anyway. And the fact that Jalen's coming off like 3 weeks where 2 of those weeks he didn't practice and he didn't end up getting practice until yesterday. So there's going to be rust. There's stuff's going to need to get knocked off, and the Eagles defense has been known to give up early points. Like that's one of their caveats is that they give up early points, but once those points are scored, they sort of clamp down their defense. And they don't give up very much after that. So that's why I think like Packers money line in the first quarter is a good bet, just because, I don't think with the way the Eagles have typically started out slow, with the fact that Jalen's coming off, his concussion protocol with barely any practice, there's going to be rust. The Eagles aren't going to get a fast start. They're probably going to go 3 and out twice. The Packers may score a field goal or two, and that's why I think Packers money line in the first quarter is definitely a good bet. As you guys know, I wanted to go -5.5. Like, that's how confident
you did.
That's how confident that I was in the Packers scoring at least 6 points in the first quarter, and still having a lead over the Eagles after you subtract 5.5 points. So that's how confident I am in this Packers money line in the first quarter. But hey, guys, if you can get it, if you can find some place that's going to give you like -3, -4, in the first quarter for the Packers, and you get like some crazy amount of odds, bet $1, bet $2 on it or whatever. I think there's a very real world where the Packers could be up 6-0, 7-0 in the first quarter, just given the fact that Jalen's going to be rusty. The defense generally gives up early points. So, that's sort of where I lie with, the Packers money line in the first quarter. Anyway, but then we have the usual Jalen Hurts, 1 passing TD, Jalen Hurts, anytime TD scorer. This has happened a great deal during the year where he has done both. And so I think Jalen will at least get 1 passing touchdown, probably the A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts will do a tush push into the end zone. So that'll get us that part of the parlay as well.
Jimmy, in honor of you, I will ceremoniously bet $1 on Green Bay Packers -4.5.
In the first quarter?
In the first quarter.
There you go. What are the odds?
Oh, yeah, because we could.
338.
I forgot we couldn't actually parlay that. That's right.
Yeah. 338. There goes my bet. It's in.
All right. Good luck, Eric. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. So I agree with a lot of what you said in this particular bet. Normally, I'm a little more iffy on the crazy bet that you come up with for the Eagles. But this one makes a lot of sense to me. I think you're pretty spot on with the whole Jalen Hurts thing being out for a number of weeks and not practicing. It'd be different if he was like practicing and just not clearing protocol, but he hasn't been practicing at all.
No, he hasn't been practicing. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's going to be rust. It's going to be cold. It's going to be bad conditions. All of that just sort of lends itself to not being a very quick start. And yeah, to your point, I mean, I see the Packers being able to go down, score a quick field goal, like you said, maybe even 2 or whatever, or, get a bomb for a touchdown on a broken play, something like that, and be up pretty easily. So when you decided to switch this to Packers money line on the first quarter, I was all in with it because I thought that was just a great bet. And then with the Jalen Hurts passing touchdown, Jalen Hurts anytime TD, I mean, we've been through this number of times on our card. It's like just easy money. I mean, he just hits this pretty much every single week. So, I mean, there's no reason to not put it on there. It's like the Derrick Henry thing, right? I mean, you just put it on there and you assume it's going to hit. Every now and then it doesn't. And you're like, okay, well, whatever, bad week, but move on with life because it's going to hit the next time. So.
Yeah, I got nothing else to really add. Like you have sold me on that compelling pitch that the first quarter will be out of hand for the Eagles. Not like 21 points, but because no, I agree with you too that the Eagles at the end of the day should mop the floor with the Packers. I'm very worried about the Packers injuries because I do not believe that Love is going to be 100%. But yeah. No, and then everything else. Hurts will throw a touchdown. He will get a tush push. Like. And then the Packers being ahead in the first quarter, yeah, you sold me on it.
And the Packers are going to have Josh Jacobs in the game, and the Eagles, they're the number 1 defense by yards, but they're like 10th in rushing. So it's easy enough that some of these players too didn't play last week. I think the only starter on defense that played last week was Jordan Davis. So I think
They didn't have
Like
Cooper
there could
play.
be rust there against the running game, and somebody. Every once in a while you'll see the Eagles get lazy and hit a guy and not tackle him, and so yeah, I think like I said, it's Packers money line first quarter. Eric, you'll probably win your bet -4.5 in the first quarter.
$4, baby.
$4. Yeah.
But we all agree the Eagles are going to win this game. Like I'm extremely confident in this one. This is the most confident out of all the games.
I would pick the Eagles. The Packers go, as I've said all season long, the Packers go as far as Love carries them. So the only way that the Eagles lose is if Love gets super hot. If Love gets super hot and throws for 350 and
Super hot Love.
Yeah. Don't we all want super hot Love?
Super hot Love, baby.
But if he goes nuts and throws for 350 and 3 or 4 touchdowns, you guys are in a world of hurt.
Yeah. I mean,
if you contain him to a regular, 250, 275 and 2 touchdowns, you guys are fine.
If he throws 350 against a Vic Fangio defense, I would change my heart that they could go to the Super Bowl, frankly.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, they go as far as he carries them. I mean, it's been proven all season long that, I mean, like, when he is on and he's playing his game, the Packers are pretty legit and pretty unstoppable. So, I mean, it's just a matter of slowing him down, making him uncomfortable, making him make bad throws, making him throw picks, all that kind of stuff. If you can't do that, you're in trouble. And the Packers can score piles and piles and piles and piles of points. So, I mean, you don't want to get into a shootout with them. I mean, not to say that the Eagles can't score points as well, but the Packers are going to pile it on. So, I mean, if he gets hot and goes crazy, then the Eagles are in trouble. But, I mean, that's a very unlikely scenario.
Yeah, I mean, given that the game is in Philadelphia, like I said, there's going to be rust in the first quarter.
Yeah,
I think the Packers get an early lead, but then the clamps are going to come down, and the Eagles are just going to basically run you over until you quit, and that's what's going to happen this game. Like, I do believe the Eagles will win. I think they'll win comfortably, but just watching this team all season, knowing how the offense is, knowing how the defense is, that they both of those sides of the ball need a little time to settle in, and especially with Jalen coming off, like, not even practicing until this past Wednesday, like yesterday, because today's Thursday, even though this is a Friday show, like, practicing on Wednesday is his first practice. So so I think that's knowing this team and just knowing how this team works, like, I feel very confident that the Packers will have the lead after the first quarter.
Yeah, like I said, my only concern would be super hot Love versus freezing cold Hurts. That would be my only. That's my only concern, right? Is if
whoever plays with balls better, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you get down 17-3 or 21-3, 21-10, and it's half. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, you start to get worried. I would think, probably, especially if Hurts doesn't look good.
Well, I think it's just gonna be a matter of him just working off the rust. Them go, like, one thing you should know about the Eagles, like, their first 15 scripted plays are like the worst in the NFL. Like, literally, like, they just, like, I don't know what they're doing or what analytics that they are listening to say we should run these 15 plays this game, and, like, literally, like, the first couple of series, you're just like, what the heck are you guys doing? Like, what is this? 3 and outs. I guarantee when Jalen steps onto the field with the offense in the first quarter, it's going to be a 3 and out. I see it happening.
If you could bet that, you would bet 3 and out for first possession.
Yeah, I would bet 3 and out for first possession. Yes,
you can do a lot of you could do a lot of first drive, first quarter results in draft.
Oh, you can do first. I'm gonna look up first drive possession. Move on to the next segment. I'm gonna look that up while we're here.
Yes, we need to move on to this last segment. We had the 49ers. We're gonna have sparse 49er news for a little bit, but we did have the State of the Union.
Am I doing punt for the first drive, Jimmy?
Yeah, that'd
be do punt. Do punt for the first drive. What's the odds on that?
155.
Plus or minus?
Plus.
Oh, okay.
Go for it. $1.
Another dollar down.
Woo! All right, I get 10%. If you win,
that'll be bets, 20 cents for you.
I'll get what, 50 cents?
Yeah.
I think I cashed out at like 225, so you'll get like 22 cents.
There we go. Finder's fee.
That's my pseudo bookie.
That's so funny.
The VIG is 22 cents.
Where's my money?
Producer Dan desperately trying to get us back into the show.
Dude,
I will allow it.
I'm very close to North Jersey. I'm very close to North Jersey. You go wrong. I'll get my guy from North Jersey to come after you.
I'll be sleep with the fishes.
R.I.P. James Gandolfini.
Yep. Me and Big, I can't say his name on our show.
No, that's a good question. Let's play it safe and not. But anyway, State of the franchise. I said State of the Union, but State of the franchise. It was half hour, 40 minutes with John and Kyle. Just how's it going? Like, what's the plans? Like, it wasn't as in depth though as I wanted, but we still have 4 bullet points that I actually wrote up just now that I think are the most pertinent things to come out of it, outside of a bunch of just coach speech. But we did learn.
Oh,
yes, I made that.
Oh, okay.
We will have.
yeah.
I'm a little short. We will have a new OC in title. Clint Kubiak was already on the staff as like the passing game specialist, but he will officially be the offensive coordinator in title. But Kyle will still call the plays. Nick Sorensen and pardon me, I forgot the name of our special teams coordinator. Gone. They have been officially fired. So 4 years in a row, we will be with another defensive coordinator. So that's awesome. The second note, Javon Hargrave, we saw that he was going to get a restructured we saw he agreed to a restructured contract, and we all were like, oh, he's going to get released. He's going to get released. Yeah, he's going to get a post-June 1 designation. And John did confirm that. It will be post-June 1st, and he's open to re-signing him, but yeah, right. I'm not going to bet that that's going to happen.
Reunion with the Eagles.
Take him.
Debo coming back. Debo, like, I take that with a grain of salt. Like, anything could happen. Like, I think he will stay, though, but John is more than aware. There's no way John's not aware of all the noise of, like, where the hell did Debo of 2021 go? So, but he gave him a vote of confidence, just like he gave a vote of confidence to Brock Purdy. And Kyle even went so far as to say, I want to spend the rest of my Niners career with Purdy. So they said it without saying it that he is he's the priority to get signed, even though we have to sign Kittle and a bunch of other people. Yeah, Purdy's going to be at the top of the list. But those are the things that I personally took away from it. Whichever one of these you want to touch on, we don't have to cover all 4 of them. We're a little short on time, but which one of these stands out to you as like the most shocking, or what you want to talk about?
How many times has John said a contract is a priority, and then we end up going to camp with no contract? Like, I feel like he says that every year.
He got Jimmy signed very fast. The last time he signed a quarterback, it was very fast.
I'm going to win the bet. I'm going to get my money.
I don't think so. I think Purdy's going to say that he wants like 61, 62 AAV, and John's going to be like, no way. We're going to see a camp holdout, or maybe not a camp holdout, but at least I don't think a contract gets done before camp. He signed Jimmy G early.
He signed Jimmy G, I want to say, like right after the Super Bowl, like in February.
Yeah, and it was the largest contract, at the time. I don't know if John really wants to do that. I don't know if he wants to commit that many assets to Purdy, like, because Purdy's going to command at least 61.
Well, the cap's going to keep going. The cap's going to keep going up. It's not going to be as astronomical as it was last year, because that was astronomical. Even if it doesn't go up that high again, the cap's just going to keep going up and up and up. And for my money's worth, Purdy's proven that he's between the ears good, and he's still young. He's working with one of the best offensive coaches you could pray for. And I don't know, he passes my eye test, and just he can still be molded a little bit. He's still only in year 4.
And the thing about it is, though, like you look at his stats and they're the same as Alex Smith when Alex Smith was with the 49ers, before he got traded. So are you going to give $60 million to Alex Smith?
No.
Yeah. And so that's where everything's going to like come from. Like John's going to say, hey, you're no better than Alex Smith, and Purdy's going to say, well, I'm better than Dak Prescott, so like where are we going to meet with this? And that's what's going to be the holdup. Like John, we see John, like that was John's, the Jimmy contract was John's like first, like, okay, I need to get something done, I'm going to do it, and this is what I'm going to do. Since then, it's all about nickel and diamond. It's all about nickel and diamond since then. Like
Except when
Debo, Kittle, Jimmy again,
someone will get a lot of money, then he'll nickel and dime someone else, and then someone else will get a lot of money, and then someone else will nickel and dime. He tries to have his money cake and eat it too.
Yeah, but I have, like, it's a lot of money to commit to someone who's Alex Smith, and Alex Smith is better than Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott is making 60 AAV. So I guarantee it's gonna get hung up. He's not signing before camp.
All right. So as someone who watched every game that Alex Smith played for the 49ers, I can attest to you that Purdy
You finish your thought, then I do have some actual breaking news.
Okay. I can attest to you that Purdy is way better than Alex Smith ever was. Alex Smith was a check down merchant and a game manager at best. He was not good and not fun to watch.
I will agree with you. I didn't watch all of his tenure with the 49ers. I am aware of how ass he was until Jim Harbaugh showed up, though.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the interesting things that I read the other day that makes me feel like this deal is going to get done and I'm going to win my bet that I have with you is that it's essential to get Purdy signed before they can do any other free agent or any other contract restructuring deals on their own team. So without knowing where Purdy is going to land on the scale and what that's going to do to their overall salary cap, they can't really do any other deals or any other signings. So I feel like they really are going to have him signed very early on in the process. Without that, they're not going to be able to sign other free agents. They're not going to be able to go out and get other people. They're not going to be able to go out and fill out their roster in other areas. So I feel like they really are going to have him signed very early on so that they can kind of flesh out the rest of the team and know exactly what they're doing from a monetary perspective. So that's one of the other reasons that I think that they're going to get him signed pretty early on.
Yeah. Do we, real quickly, have thoughts on...
I have thoughts on Debo.
Well, I was going to say Nick getting fired. We all agree Nick deserved to get fired.
Yeah. Yeah, I want him to bring back. I mean, if Saleh's not going to get that head coaching job done in Jacksonville, then come back and be our defensive coordinator again. I mean,
we did interview him, like for real. We interviewed him today.
Oh, then great. I mean, I would love to have him, but that's what a weird and awkward interview that must have been. But okay, but I mean,
can you tell us
can you tell us what qualities you bring to the job? Well, if you go back and look at the tape from 2020 or 2021, whichever year it was that I was here, you'd see how the defense played. Now watch the tape that you guys just played this past year and see how ass it was. That's what I bring to the table.
Well, note too, I didn't write it in the blurb. I only had so much space, but Kyle floated the possibility of Nick Sorensen staying on the staff in some capacity, including special teams coordinator, which is that would be an awkward interview.
Yeah. But no, I mean, defensive coordinator is something that the team has to get figured out. The defense has been bad the last 2 years in a row. I mean, there's been aspects of the defense that have been good. Like last year, the secondary was really good. This year, the secondary was pretty good. But like the front seven has been absolute ass for the last 2 years in a row. We can't stop anybody on the run. We're not getting pressure on the quarterback like we were under Saleh and we were under D'Amico. So, I mean, our defense needs to be better. I talked about it on the podcast that we did the last episode. you look at the teams that are in the playoffs now, defense wins championships. All of the teams that are in the playoffs now, except give or take one or two of them, have real strong championship-like defenses, like Jimmy's Eagles, for example.
Best defense since '91, baby. Like,
yeah, I mean, you've got the Eagles that have a great defense. You've got the Vikings that have a great defense. You've got the Ravens that have turned around and have gotten a great defense. So, I mean, like, there's a number of teams that have really great, solid defenses, and you're just not getting anywhere if you don't have a really great defense. And so I think that that's one of the key things that the Niners have to get figured out in this offseason. They've got to get a defensive coordinator that's going to come in. Maybe it's really hard to say that they have to shake up the scheme, right? Because we have players that fit that particular scheme. But I think our players are good enough that we could adjust the scheme and start playing something different. I mean, I don't know that we want to go from like a 4-3 to a 3-4 or anything like that, but instead of playing cover 3 all the time, we could potentially start playing something else on the back end, or we could start doing a lot of different things. Like, I know we've talked on the show about, like, we don't really disguise coverages, and we don't do a lot of mixing things up, and we don't drop people out, and all that kinds of stuff.
Could we potentially abandon the wide 9 without leaving the 4-3?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we could show up in a traditional 4-3. I mean, there's all sorts of different things that we could do. And I mean, I think we have the players and the skill sets to do that. We could go, I mean, we play a lot of zone underneath. I mean, we could play more man. I mean, there's all different sorts of things that we could do.
We have a back 7 that can very easily handle their own in man. Like, I mean, barring whoever we replace Hufanga and Ward with, but
yeah. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity there for somebody to come in and do things well defensively. We just have to hire the right person. So I'm very interested in that hire and who that will be. And bring it. That's why I said I would be very excited to bring Salah back and just run it back with him. Depending
on what time it is, we might do a breaking episode if I'm actually, like, because I travel when it's not if it happens on the weekend, I might be gone, but we will convene as soon as possible when that happens, because I will say that should constitute breaking news.
Yeah.
But speaking of breaking news, did that organically. Unless we really want to talk about Debo again, I think I need to tell you guys. I think, James, you might have saw it too.
I saw it. Yeah.
The LA game is officially moving to Glendale, Arizona because of the fires.
Oh,
it is officially official.
Oh, that you're talking about that?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the fact that the Raiders fired their GM and they want to align. The Raiders wanted to align Tom Brady, GM, owner, and like having a line.
Oh no, that was breaking. That was. I was clocked in when I saw that, and I wasn't surprised that. I was surprised that they didn't do it the same day, but I did. I was like, okay, like, not surprised that. I just thought they would have done it the same day, not have a day apart. And the GM's like, whew, I guess I'm safe. Just kidding.
That is kind of dickish.
But yeah, no, I felt compelled to, because that is pretty big. Like, LA's just on fire, and we're taping. No, they are moving it to Glendale, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
And
that's good. They shouldn't play a game in LA with all that going on.
No, what did I say right at the very top? Just like, you're gonna try, like, even if they control the fires, like, yeah, you could do a rah, but like, just, I don't know. I get kind of ick from that. Like,
yeah.
LA literally just burnt to the ground. Like, I'm not trying to make light of it. Like, that's just what's happening.
Yeah. So, on the Debo front, like, I thought it was interesting that he's only counts $16 million against the cap next year. I thought his cap number was a lot higher. I really like the concept that hit me the other day when I was thinking about that, and I saw that he has 4 void years currently. Just screw it. Give him one more void year, lower his cap number for this upcoming year.
You can't go past 5. That's what the rule is.
Yeah. And see if he's one of these guys that plays great in a contract year, and run with it and see what happens. I mean, there's been numerous guys throughout NFL, NBA, MLB careers that just traditionally don't really do a whole lot, and kind of just mediocre, average guys, during the season when they aren't playing for money, but then they get to that contract year where they're going to be a free agent the next year. And well, by golly, all of a sudden they're real inspired and they play really good ball in those contract years. And so maybe Debo's one of those guys. So yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, there's been a ton of guys throughout the course of their career. So at that number, especially if we can reduce it a little bit more by giving him one more void year, then by all means bring him back. Let him run it and see what happens. I mean,
he's been open to restructures before. Like he's turned his salary into a signing bonus, I think at least twice.
Yeah. So I mean, run it and see what happens. I mean, what's the worst? I mean, he's a good team guy. I mean, they seem to really like him from a team perspective. He's a captain, for Pete's sakes. So I mean, keep him around. So
I'm not opposed to.
I guess I'm still not opposed to trading him if they really want to trade him too. I mean, I still think
the Bears, because the Bears like to trade with the 49ers and just John just
the Patriots.
we just fleece the Bears for everything that they
have. Robert Kraft likes to trade with us, like a la Jimmy G.
Yeah, but I mean,
Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to trade him away, I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable with a receiving room of Ayuk, Jennings, Kittle, and Pearsall. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. But I mean, if we can bring Debo back at $16 million and he plays to the level that he's supposed to play at in a contract year, then that would be a good value for that amount of money. So just have to wait and see.
Yeah, when we saw that number, because I thought it was going to be like 28 million, something like that too. Yeah. But no, at that price, literally half of what like the AAV of like Tyreek Hill and others are making, like it's worth it. I think it might be worth, especially for the chemistry of the locker room, because they do love him, and you can't not account for that. Like especially for a captain, you can't not count that in. Like sure, like give him one more go. If not, the guys, we still got Brandon, Juwan, Ricky, and George. Assuming we sign George, and if he just falls down the depth chart, like here's your paycheck. You're definitely not getting re-signed. That's all. Like. So no, I warmed up a little bit more to it, but if it's strictly production, I would. If we were talking strictly production, let's go ahead and trade him.
I mean, maybe they make him into more of a gadget guy. You know what I mean? Like instead of, I mean, not that he's not that to a degree now, but I mean, like right now we're counting on him to be like wide receiver number 1/2, and it's clear that he can't be wide. He can't be wide receiver 1. He seems to suck at being wide receiver number 2. So, I mean, maybe we make him wide receiver 3, have him just work out of the slot all the time and, run a bunch of gimmicky shit for him and use him that way. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, like that's a
Brandon X. Brandon X. Juwan Juwan could be Y, maybe have Ricky directly behind him or some packages with Ricky on the outside. And then Debo inside, or flip-flop them. Like, I mean, all these guys have a lot of slot experience except Brandon. Brandon's strictly an X.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're pretty interchangeable. Like,
right, exactly. So that's what I'm saying is like you just have like Brandon on the outside, and then who you take the rest of the 3 and you just sort of like pile them up and just. Whoever is hot and playing well, you put out there and put them on the field, whether it's Pearsall, Jennings,
never Debo on the outside again.
I would not put him on the outside. He just doesn't seem to be able to get open. So start working him out of the slot. I mean, I haven't seen him really do a lot of slot work, so maybe that's something new for him to learn and take on over the offseason, but have him start doing a lot of slot work. I mean, I think that's a potential gain for him. I mean, we could run some 4-wide sets. We never run 4-wide sets. Let's run a 4-wide set for once, I mean, that'd be interesting.
No, remember we should have Chris. I'm gonna break my table today.
I'm not counting on McCaffrey for anything.
No, not after this year.
Nope. I'm not counting on him for anything. So he's gonna have to stay healthy and prove it to me. I am not counting on him for anything. So it's going to be JP Mason in the backfield, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be McCaffrey. So
it's going to be no. It's going to well, Mitchell's not getting re-signed. It's going to be Garendo. Yeah, it'll be Mason, Garendo, and then whatever third round running back we draft this year, because we're going back to that after how Moody turned out.
Yeah. I mean, McCaffrey's obviously going to be on the roster and he's going to be set to play, but I just
unless he can't.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a full season out of him. I think if he plays, it'll be spotty at best. And I think we'll have him for a couple games and he'll be out, and he'll come back a couple games. He'll be out a couple games. I think if we get 6 to 7 games out of him, we'll be lucky.
I pray you're wrong. I know.
Oh, I pray that I'm wrong too. I would love to be wrong. I'm by no means football Nostradamus, but I just don't think he's got it in him to stay healthy, unfortunately. I mean, if you look at his career track record is not good in terms of being able to stay healthy. So, I mean, I just don't. Yeah, it doesn't.
No,
look
I
good.
get it. Same with Trent.
I was just going to say, I would much prefer Trent to stay on the field for 17 games this season and not miss his typical 3 to 4 games that he misses every single year since he signed with us. But what are you going to do there? So
true.
We need to draft a tackle. That's what we need to do.
Well, yeah, because Jalen Moore is a free agent. I don't know if he's restricted. If he's restricted, he'll come back. But if not, we need to draft a tackle. Because anyway, well, there we go.
Which that was the other part of the State of Union State of the Team that I thought was the funniest, where Lynch said, you know, we've talked to Trent, and Trent's had the ankle injury, but don't worry because Trent's coming back next season. Yeah, no shit, Trent's coming back next season because you're paying him $30 million. Big Trent is not walking away from a $30 million paycheck.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no. Yeah, that was definitely the biggest no shit from it. Like other than Purdy's a priority. Well, yeah, no kidding. Like,
yeah, I can guarantee you one thing: Trent is not walking away from a big bag of money.
Right. Yeah. What were you going to add, Jimmy?
I was going to say, in a year where Trent Williams was not on the field, Jordan Mailata still did not make All-Pro. Like, this is freaking ridiculous. Like,
we don't know All-Pro yet. You mean Pro Bowl?
Well, he hasn't gotten Pro Bowl. Did he get All-Pro?
No, All-Pro's not out yet. I thought you were saying he didn't get All-Pro, but we don't know.
Well, he didn't get NFL. He didn't get the NFLPA Pro. So we'll see if he gets All-Pro, but he should be in the freaking Pro Bowl, the #1 guy. Like,
well, Trent's not playing in the Pro Bowl, so he can have his spot.
Trent wasn't voted to the Pro Bowl, was he?
He's an alternate.
Does Mailata have an alternate?
Mailata has an alternate, yeah.
Okay.
Trent's an alternate.
Which doesn't. It's depending on who you ask, does or doesn't count.
Yeah.
The fact that he wasn't
more respect.
I'll agree with you. The fact that he wasn't on the initial release is kind of wild to me. Like, no offense to Tristan Wirfs, but that's wild to me.
Hey, you know what? He's playing in the playoffs still, so he's got all the smack talk and backup that he needs right now because he's still playing while other people like Trent are sitting at home.
True.
Yeah. Well, I think like if All-Pro comes out and like he's not at least 2, like he should, like dude he needs some recognition, man, outside of Philadelphia. Like, this is complete horse crap.
Well, with that, like AP, we're watching you, AP.
That's
those
right.
100 voters, or
yeah,
50
and
voters,
get Eric Allen in the Hall of Fame too, while we're bitching. So.
I think with that, we are over time a little bit. So let's go ahead and give us our shout out to our sponsor, RoyalRetros.com. What is it? It is your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey. Whether you're a fan of football or any of the other major sports, we got you covered. When you find something that you like, say from the Candlestick collection, use the promo code Shady Sports and you'll get 10% off of your entire order at RoyalRetros.com. Again, it's promo code Shady Sports. Get 10% off of your new throwback jersey. Go to RoyalRetros.com. Again, promo code Shady Sports and get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. Mr. Jimmy B, please tell the people about our t-shirts.
So yeah, guys, we've been raising money for comprehensive care management in Kentucky.
Mountain Comprehensive Care Center.
Mountain Comprehensive Care Centers in Kentucky, specifically because they're a crisis center for women and those who've been abused. Us trying to bring awareness to the fact that there's not a lot of accountability for the owners as much as there is for the players. So to do this, we are selling our t-shirts to raise money for this great charity. First of all, you can get the t-shirt that has our statement, owner standards are less than player standards, #owner accountability. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, different colors, different sizes, different styles for that. Next up, we have our podcast logo art. You'll find this anywhere you listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or you watch us on YouTube. You will see this in the logo. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, different sizes, different styles. Next up, we have the alternate logo t-shirt, which $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. And we have different colors, different styles, different sizes. And last but not least, how can you say no to our mascot, a peanut, eating peanuts while cheering on the San Francisco 49ers? $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. Donate to Mountain Comprehensive Care Centers today.
Yep. Link to both the Bonfire Store and the Mountain Comprehensive Care Centers. More information in the show notes, like Jimmy said. Yeah, I don't think it'd be fair to supersede what we just got out of LA with other news, unless you have one. I'm not to put you on the spot, but yeah, no, that's
I don't have anything. I don't have anything bigger than that.
Yeah, I don't have anything bigger than that.
That's pretty monumental news to move the game to Arizona.
Yeah, the only things I have are just funny, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay. Again, not to put you on the spot. That was just just our hearts go out to LA. That's just awful what's going on. Like, yep. I've seen lots of people losing homes, and I don't know the state of containment for any of them. I know they're not all contained. I thought I saw one was, but yeah, just our hearts going out to you, LA. That's just awful. And we all pray that it finally gets contained here sooner than later. So, Mr. Jimmy B.
Outro music, River Road, Justin Youth.
Hey, let's beat the Packers, right?
Yeah.
Beat the Packers.
Yes. Enjoy Wildcard weekend, everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way you whine and cry.